In the heart of the bustling town of Odi, there stood a small but famous food shop known as Mama Fola's Delight. The shop was run by a heavy-set woman named Mama Fola, whose cooking was so mouthwatering that people traveled from distant villages just to have a taste. Her jollof rice was the richest. Her pepper soup sent shivers of pleasure down spines, and her roasted meat melted in the mouth like butter. The locals swore that whatever secret ingredient she used had to be a gift from the gods. Men, women, and children lined up every morning to get a plate of her delicacies. The scent of her dishes wafted through the town, making empty stomachs grumble and pulling customers in like a spell. Mama Fola, always dressed in a stained wrapper, her massive arms jiggling as she stirred her pots, laughed heartily and served her patrons with a warm smile. Yet, no one ever questioned why her food was so different, why it had a unique taste that no other cook in the entire region could replicate. Deep in the night, when the town fell silent, Mama Fola would slip away from her shop, her wide frame blending into the shadows. She walked towards the riverbank, where whispers of lost souls danced in the night air. She wasn't alone. A cloaked figure stood waiting. "Did you bring more?" the figure rasped. Mama Fola smirked, revealing teeth too white for someone who barely cared for hygiene. "Always." She held out a small bundle wrapped in old fabric. The bundle shifted slightly, and a faint whimper escaped. The figure took the bundle without hesitation, and in exchange, handed Mama Fola a glass jar filled with thick, dark liquid. She cradled it like it was the rarest treasure on earth before stuffing it into her apron pocket. "You must never be discovered," the figure warned. Mama Fola laughed. "They'll never know. They only care about the taste." She turned and waddled back to her shop, her mind already dreaming of the next day's feast. For months, Odi had been plagued by a strange occurrence. Children went missing without a trace. Mothers wept, fathers raged, and the local chief ordered search parties to comb through the forests and rivers. Some whispered of spirits, others of kidnappers, but no one had a single clue. Despite the sorrow that spread through the town, Mama Fola's business flourished. More people came to eat. The grieving, the broken, the lost. They all found comfort in her food. It was as if a single bite could erase pain, at least for a moment. It was then that a young boy named Kofi began to suspect something was wrong. He was no more than 10, a mischievous child with sharp eyes. One evening, as he played near Mama Fola's shop, he saw something odd. The butcher, whom she usually bought her meat from, was arguing with her. "I don't understand," the butcher grumbled. "You hardly buy from me these days, yet your food still has plenty of meat." Mama Fola chuckled, waving her massive hand dismissively. "Ah, Baba Ayo, I found another supplier. Better prices." The butcher frowned, but said nothing more. Kofi narrowed his eyes. Where was she getting all that meat from? He decided to watch her closely. Later that night, when the town slept, Kofi snuck behind her shop, hiding in the tall grass. He expected to see her collect meat from another supplier. Instead, what he saw made his blood run cold. Mama Fola dragged something from her back room, a small, lifeless body wrapped in cloth. She worked quickly, chopping, slicing, and tossing pieces into different pots. The smell that made people's stomachs growl now made Kofi want to vomit. He covered his mouth, his tiny body trembling. He wanted to scream, to run, but he knew he had to be smart. If he was caught, he would be next. He had to tell someone. But who would believe him? Kofi spent the entire night shivering under his blanket, unable to sleep. His mind replayed the horrifying scene over and over again. By dawn, he had made up his mind. He would tell his mother. She was the only one who might believe him. "Mama," he whispered as she stirred the morning porridge, "I saw something last night." His mother, a stern but loving woman, wiped her hands on her wrapper and looked at him. "What is it, Kofi?" He hesitated. If he said it wrong, she might dismiss it as another one of his wild stories. It's Mama Fola. She's cooking children. His mother gasped, nearly dropping the ladle. What did you say? Kofi hurriedly recounted what he had seen. His mother's face went pale, and she clutched his shoulders. Are you sure, Kofi? This is not a joke? He nodded furiously. I swear, Mama, I saw her. She had a body, and she chopped it up like meat. His mother's hands trembled as she grabbed his wrist. We must go to the chief. Within an hour, they arrived at the chief's palace, demanding to be heard. The chief, a wise and patient man, listened carefully. These are serious accusations, boy, he said gravely. If you are lying, the consequences will be severe. I'm not lying, Kofi said firmly. Go and check her back room. You'll find everything. The chief called for his guards. We will investigate immediately. A crowd formed as they made their way to Mama Fola's shop. People murmured in confusion, some laughing at the absurdity of the claim. But when the guards kicked open the back door, the laughter died. Barrels of blood, bones stripped of flesh, the stench of death filled the air. The town erupted in screams. Mama Fola, who had been serving a fresh plate of stew to a customer, turned slowly, her face an unreadable mask. Then, without warning, she bolted for the door. Catch her, someone yelled. The chase began. The entire town pursued Mama Fola as she ran through the streets, her massive body surprisingly fast. She knocked over market stalls, shoved people aside, but she couldn't outrun the fury of the crowd. They cornered her near the riverbank, the same place where she had struck her dark deal. Mama Fola, you have betrayed us, the chief said, his voice shaking with rage. You have fed us our own children. She panted, her face glistening with sweat. You all loved my food, she spat. You begged for it. Now you turn against me? The people surged forward. Her reign of horror had come to an end. If you liked this story, make sure you watch out for part 2.